Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. So, according to Boxing Scene, Daniel Dubois has sacked Don Charles and is now training with Tony Sims. Let's talk about it. Now, I've got kind of mixed feelings about this. On the one hand, Don Charles became so insufferably obnoxious during his time as Daniel Dubois' trainer. He became egotistical beyond belief. The success went to his head in an outrageous way. His behavior got so ridiculous, and the behavior of his son. I did have to laugh upon hearing this news. But at the same time, you look at the fact that Daniel Dubois has had at least 5 trainers in his career so far. In Martin Bowers, Mark Tibbs, who he was briefly with for a few weeks, didn't actually have any fights together, Shane McGuigan, Don Charles, and now Tony Sims. When a fighter is hopping from trainer to trainer to trainer that many times, you wonder whether it's the trainers that are the problem or the fighter. Or in this case, the dad. Because the perception that myself and I think many of you have is that Daniel Dubois is basically like a puppet for his dad. He does what his dad tells him to do. His dad pulls his strings. Still lives with his dad as far as I'm aware. Dubois is like, 27, 28? He's a multimillionaire, still living with his dad. Whatever his dad thinks about a trainer, Daniel thinks the same thing. He doesn't have a mind of his own, it seems. His dad does all his thinking for him. But maybe that's the way it has to be. Maybe Daniel's not capable of thinking for himself and making wise decisions. But then his dad would need to make wise decisions on his behalf. And is his dad doing that? Many people would argue that he's not, especially after that party we saw. They can call it a gathering or whatever nonsense semantics they want to come up with. It was a party. And again, it's kind of funny that Don Charles was defending Dubois and his dad over that, and I'd have sacked him anyway. In any event, Dubois now got Sam Jones as an advisor, apparently, rather than a manager. Maybe a manager has too much control for Stan Dubois' liking or Dave Dubois, whatever he wants to be known as. So Sam Jones is just an advisor rather than a manager. Did Sam Jones have anything to do with Don Charles being sacked? I've got no idea, but those things have happened pretty much simultaneously. Sam Jones comes in, Don Charles is out, and Tony Sims comes in to replace him. Tony Sims had some hand in training Anthony Joshua early on in his professional career, but the reality always was that Rob McCracken was AJ's main trainer right from his pro debut. But because there was a rule in the UK at the time that an amateur coach cannot also coach professionals, Rob McCracken couldn't be in his corner until that rule was changed, and then he started appearing in his corner. So Tony Sims was basically the front man for Rob McCracken. McCracken was doing the real training behind the scenes, and I'm sure Tony Sims helped out. And of course, he was in the corner because McCracken couldn't be. But as I understand it, as I always understood it, McCracken was the main guy in the gym as AJ's coach from day dot. And prior to that, obviously, during his amateur career. So Tony Sims had some hand in training AJ in his early days. And more recently, he's been training the likes of Conor Benn and many other fighters too. But I'm just giving you a couple of more notable examples. He actually just started training Johnny Fisher as well. I can't imagine Johnny Fisher's going to enjoy sparring Daniel Dubois. I think he sparred Dubois in the past, but yeah, that's not going to end well for Johnny if Dubois not holding back in the spars. Anyway, how will Dubois do with Tony Sims? Well, one of the things about Daniel Dubois as an aggressive fighter is that his defense is wide open. His guard is not tight. He barely moves his head, and so he tends to walk onto shots. He does have quick feet, and so if he rushes at you quickly enough, especially when he's throwing his jab, you might not be able to time him on the way in. Anthony Joshua certainly couldn't, but of course, Alexander Usyk could. Even Filip Hrgovic could when they fought, when was it, a year or two ago? But certainly against the cream of the crop in the heavyweight division, Daniel Dubois, if he's going to succeed, needs to tighten up that defense. Guard needs to be tighter. His head needs to move more. Tony Sims fighters tend to do that. They do tend to have a relatively tight guard and they move their head. But so much of a fighter's style is actually down to their biomechanics. Certain fighters are stiff because that's the way they are physiologically and neurologically wired. They can't help it. They can try a few things here and there to become slightly more fluid, but you're never going to turn Frank Bruno into Muhammad Ali. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't matter what you teach him or what you feed him or what type of training you do with him. He doesn't have the genetics to be as fluid and athletic as Muhammad Ali. It's not going to happen. And so that's my concern with Daniel Dubois. He needs to move his head more with the style he has. He needs to keep his guard tighter because he fights with his elbows flared out. I just don't know whether he's capable biomechanically and neurologically of doing that. If you look at his sister and even his young brother, who I think is still just an amateur, they also fight in the same way, particularly the young brother with the elbows flared out. I think it's just the way they're physiologically wired and neurologically wired. That's just how they are. I think they find it difficult keeping the elbows and it feels weird to them. So time will tell how Daniel Dubois does with Tony Sims, whether they can address those defensive issues. And as far as his psychological issues, I think they're permanent. When Daniel Dubois is in a slugfest where, okay, he's getting hit, but he's able to hit his opponent back regularly, he doesn't get discouraged. But when he's in a situation where, and I mentioned this before the Usyk rematch, in several videos, I said, when Dubois is in a situation where he's not able to land the number of punches he's accustomed to landing, but he's getting hit back frequently, that is when he starts to break down mentally. He's okay with getting hit as long as he can hit you back just as much or more. But if he can't, he starts looking for a way out. That's just the way he is. That's the way his mind works. It's too unfamiliar to him. I don't think that could be fixed. My opinion. But give me your opinion in the comment section below. How will Daniel Dubois get on with Tony Sims? Was this a good move to hook up with Sims and fire Don Charles? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out. Are you surrounded by mindless bots in human form who adhere to the norm and blindly conform? Who swallow all the mainstream BS and actually ridicule you for questioning things? Do you wish you had more free-thinking individuals in your life to network and converse with? Well, look no further. We're right here. Come and join the Brotherhood of Reason on Patreon. You'll gain access to my weekly topical content where we take deep dives on an endless variety of subjects, as well as my vast back catalogue of podcasts, videos, interviews, movie decodings, and my Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You'll also get to talk and network with myself and hundreds of other people in our members chat. You can enjoy all this via the Patreon app or on desktop and download all my podcasts in high-quality MP3. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store, or simply visit patreon.com on a web browser. Then head on over to my page and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. All the links are in the description box below. And just a quick money-saving tip for Apple users. If you purchase your Patreon subscription on the desktop site or on Android, then you'll avoid the ridiculous 30% fee that Apple charges for purchases made on the iOS app. So if you're on iPhone or iPad, save yourself some money by buying your subscription on the actual Patreon website or on Android because it's a lot cheaper. Once you've made that initial purchase, you can then use the Patreon app on your iPhone or iPad thereafter to access and enjoy your content as normal.